Recently, Ubiquiti released its own PDU. To be honest, I'm not very happy with this product. In this video, I will explain my complaints in 4 major points. First, the layout of the outlet. Second, the smart power control features. Third, the so-called internet redundancy. The last one will be my favorite topic, internet modem power recycling. In this video, I will not waste your time explaining what is PDU, what it does. If you are interested, you may check one of my previous videos. I talk about in details about 2 APC PDUs. On the screen, what you can see is the official web page from Ubiquiti about this unit. It has totally 16 power outlets, which are basically standard for this type of 2U PDU. It has 4 USB-C port for charging. This is a relatively new PDU, so it's very rare in the PDUs on the market, which is good. Now let's talk about the arrangement of the 16 outlets. As you can see, Ubiquiti put 12 of them in the upper row and 4 of them in the second row, which is good because the second row gives you more room to plug in some bulky plug. But my problem is they are all in the front. As a comparison, let's check my another PDU from another manufacturer. Let's see how they arrange the outlets. This is my APC PDU. It is 2U. It's horizontal, same as Ubiquiti's. As you can see, the front panel is pretty clean, nothing's there. But if you check the back, you will find all the interfaces or the outlets. That's perfect for a rack mount PDU because most cases you don't want to present the plugs, the outlets, and you want to hide them. So you want to keep the front as clean as possible. The outlets are not like, let's say, RJ45 ports. You don't want to change their outlets frequently. The power cable normally is much thicker than Ethernet cable, and it's very hard to manage if you put the outlets in the front end. As you can see for my Ubiquiti's PDU, I have to waste a row in my rack just to let the outlets and power cables come through. It's totally unnecessary, and it leads to the problem of a messy front end and a totally wasted, empty back end. Let's briefly talk about the power architecture. Let me borrow a diagram I used for one of my previous videos for APC PDUs. The same concept applies as well. There's nothing special. Basically, the way I use my multiple PDUs is if my UniFi devices, they support RPS, the redundant power system, I will connect them to RPS first and then connect the RPS to a PDU or directly to a UPS. For the other power input for the UniFi device, I directly connect them to a second PDU, and the second PDU will connect to a second UPS. Of course, both UPS will connect to the outlets on the wall. You need to make sure these 2 links, they are connected to different breakers in your home electricity breaker box. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You are not really achieving any redundancy. Just simple concept, and I want to mention a little bit here. Now let's check its software, especially the smart power control features. This is the UniFi network controller. Let me choose the USP-PDU-Pro. The insights, it tells you the total supported power consumption and the current consumption, basic function. And then the main features are in the settings tab. It displays all the outlets, including the 4 USB ports. Just from the color, you won't tell whether it has device connected or not. You can only see whether it's enabled or disabled. If you choose a particular one, what you can do, yes, you can enable or disable the power, and you can manually do the power recycle. That's it. That's the smart feature. It's okay for a glorious power strip on the rack. It can individually switch on and off the outlet. But to be honest, that's basic function. Otherwise, you cannot even call it a smart device, right? But the problem is Ubiquiti puts professional in the model name. If you check the APC-PDU, you can see it can control the multiple outlets at the same time. I'm in the UI for the APC-PDU and their device manager. If I choose control, see it lists all the outlets and the current status. See the checkbox here, so you can do multiple selection. For example, if I want to power on a Dell server and a Super Micro server at the same time, I simply choose both, and in the action I say on immediate or reboot immediate, or the different features. The same action can apply to multiple devices at the same time. It's a very useful feature in your day-to-day usage. Unfortunately, it's not available in the network controller from Ubiquiti yet, but I believe it's a simple UI thing. I don't see any problem to support it from the hardware perspective. Hopefully, Ubiquiti can enhance the UI to include this seemingly very simple but useful feature. If Ubiquiti can go even further, for example, it supports a UI to separate the outlets into multiple customized groups, and for each group, you can define some schedule functions to do some power functions which apply to the same group at the same time according to your schedule. That will be even better. Now let's talk about my major complaint about this PDU, which is the so-called virtual router redundancy. In fact, it is the only reason why I even decided to purchase this PDU. I already had two PDU from another manufacturer. I don't really need another one, but this virtual router redundancy feature really caught my eyes. It's very rare you see such feature integrated to a PDU. Let's talk about what's virtual router redundancy. This is Ubiquiti's product page for this PDU. In the listed highlighted features, the third one is the 3 RJ45 ports reserved for virtual router redundancy. The reserved is already a little bit disappointing, right? It seems okay, now it's not available yet, but let's see what's the so-called virtual router redundancy. If you move down a little bit in the instructions and manual section, click the installation guide. Half of them are not interesting at all, but the later part, Ubiquiti used half of all the pages to introduce you what's the virtual router redundancy, how you can configure or connect it. Keep in mind, what's this PDF? It's installation guide, right? That means after you buy this product, you follow the instruction, you implement the features. It's a very complicated connection just to hook up internet. But let's check it. A is just normal one. Let's ignore it. Let's see B. You can see you connect internet first in the back, and then in the front. For the first internet part, you connect to one router. For the other one, you connect to the second one. And then for your two routers, you connect them to the same aggregation switch. For the aggregation switch, you connect to other UniFi switch. Seemingly straightforward. The benefit it achieved is the so-called router redundancy. So basically you have only one internet connection, but you can connect to two separate routers. This is the lab environment I plan to use for this redundant router feature testing. This is the PDU, and the internet is connected to the RJ45 in the back as specified by Ubiquiti. I plan to use two separate UniFi routers, UDM-Pro and UXG-Pro. Both of them got the internet connection from the PDU from the two separate RJ45 for internet. No surprise, device, right? From the PDU, you need to monitor the PDU itself and connect itself to the network, right? So that's done through this dedicated RJ45. It's connected to your normal home network. The only question or confusing part is these two blue links. Basically, the idea is you keep your existing internet connection, your existing network, but just add another router to achieve the router redundancy. But you have to connect two routers to your same home network. For this particular UniFi switch, it will have two separate physical uplinks. How it works, whether any additional configurations are needed in the front end, in the UniFi controller, or everything is done in the back end automatically. I don't see any details from Ubiquiti, but you know what? We are not even there to worry about these two blue links yet, because even just here, the two separate internet connection parts, this part, it doesn't work now. Let me show you. I connected the Ethernet cables to the PDU. As you can see, port 22 and 23, the two with the Earth icons, they are supposed to be connected to your two routers. I don't see any LED light flashing, even though one of them really works now. To see it clearly, let me change the angle. This is not static image, this is video, but you can see port 22 and 23, there's no LED flashing to indicate they are really working. This is one of my UniFi routers. As you can see, it already acquired valid internet address, which means the internet connection works fine. But for the other UniFi router, the UDM-Pro, as you can see, what's shown on the small LCD screen, it says plug-in cable, which means the arrow is not really just about, okay, it cannot acquire internet IP address. No, it simply tells you you haven't have the cable connected. There's no carrier at all, which means the port physically doesn't work at all in the PDU. Let me summarize my problem with this router redundancy feature. If it is still in the beta testing phase, I totally understand. So Ubiquiti, you simply take your time, implement the feature slowly, right? But now this product is officially released. It's being sold on the Ubiquiti official website. And all the features, the steps are already included in the official PDF file for the installation guide. This feature simply doesn't work. It's not acceptable. Ubiquiti, make your product work before you release it. The last thing I want to talk about is the automatic power recycle feature when you have internet problem. So this is my test environment. I have a cable modem connect to internet. I connect the power of the modem to this PDU. If you have ever watched my another video which I complained the UniFi smart plug which doesn't work for me, you may be familiar with my complaint, which is if you do not use UniFi router, this feature simply doesn't work. This feature relies on router instead of completely rely on the PDU device itself. So as you can see in my network environment, I use pfSense as my router. If the internet is broken, this power is supposed to be automatically recycled. But let's see whether it really works. I have already connected the modem to the outlet 17. As you can see from the small LCD screen, it's consuming power, about 9 watt. Let's go to network controller. This is the configuration screen for the PDU. This is the outlet 17. I click on it. I already enabled the modem power cycle. It is supposed to be done when it comes to configuration. Now let me simulate a internet outage. I unplugged this cable and I waited for a long time. Nothing happened. The PDU never recycled the power for this particular outlet. So it didn't work for me. Why? Because my router is not UniFi router. So the exact same symptom or problem I already discussed in the $19 UniFi smart plug video. Even though it is really expected, because I didn't have any hope for this feature to work in this PDU, but it is still disappointing because from software perspective, I really don't understand why the simple feature cannot be integrated to the software of the device itself, why it has to rely on the router. Okay, this is the end of the video. In summary, it is really a disappointment to me because the reason I purchased it is to get the redundant router feature, but it doesn't work for me now. And as expected, the internet modem recycle feature also doesn't work. But if you don't care these features, or you can wait till Ubiquiti implement the features slowly, or you just need a PDU, maybe it's a really good choice because look at the price. It's not really expensive if you compare to other PDUs. Thank you for watching.